But I do want to talk about Stephen Colbert. Yesterday I have a lot to say about this. Another reason why I wanted to come on today. I probably should just be researching it and trying to make an actual video out of it, but today, Stephen Colbert said today the average gas price in America hit an all-time record of $4 a gallon. Okay, that sings, but a clean conscience is worth a buck or two.
Blow it out your ass.
I'm willing to pay $4 a gallon. Hell, I'll pay $15 a gallon because I drive a Tesla.
What an asshole!
That's John Oliver. Now, notice, does this kind of sound like something I've been talking about in my recent videos about inflation, especially pertaining to paying workers more? This constant, oh yeah, go ahead and make the minimum wage $15 an hour. I'm willing to spend a little bit more on a cheeseburger or a burrito if I know that the workers are getting paid a living wage. Now they suddenly have this attitude. There's this very dismissive attitude. The same people who think, yeah, you have a right to basic health care. You have a right to housing. You have a right to college education. You have the right to this, a right to that. Price of gas goes up. Then they say, well, do we really need that much gasoline? Maybe it's your fault for not buying a Prius. I've seen a lot of that sentiment as of late, the last few days. Maybe you should have bought a Prius. Well, maybe you should.
Blow it out your ass.
Such knuckleheads. Anyway. Now, even if you are in favor of the sanctions on Russian oil, which I guess today it was announced that Biden bans imports of Russian oil, natural gas. Other European countries have as well. I actually support that. Even if you support that, I mean, I think what's going to happen, you guys got to pay attention to this. I think this is potentially a trial balloon for the climate alarmists, the warmongers. Because right now they're saying, oh, this is for, a few dollars a gallon here or there. That's a small price to pay for freedom. This is to support Ukraine. Of course, these people don't have a problem with their Democrat heroes groveling and begging Iran and Venezuela and Saudi Arabia for more oil. Two of those regimes, Iran and Saudi Arabia, which are arguably more brutal than Putin, that fund wars. As I talked about the other day, the Ayatollah, he wants to destroy Israel. He wants to destroy the United States. He's funded a lot of terrorist organizations like Hezbollah in pursuit of exporting his goofy-ass revolution. Apparently, we need to see, well, maybe that's on the table. Maybe that's on the table, seeing if we can get oil from the Iranians.
You absolutely suck!
But basically, this is a trial balloon. Because today they're saying, look, it's just a few extra dollars. They're already paying that much in Europe, and I would say, yeah, but who wants to... This is America. Who wants to be like Europe?
Fuck yeah!
Because today they're saying we're doing this for Ukraine to preserve Ukrainian freedom, to stave off the threat of Russia. Okay. You know what's going to happen tomorrow. You guys know where this is going. I'm not even looking at the chat right now. The chat is not in my view right now because I switched windows on my web browser. But we know where this is going, right? Because today they're saying, yeah, $5. It's just a few dollars here and there. And tomorrow, they're going to say, well, maybe we should pay $9 for a gallon of gasoline to save the world from climate change. Woo! Today, they're telling you to make sacrifices. Now, some people, Elon Musk is notable for this. And you should pay attention to this. Who is saying, you know what? Maybe we got this whole crusade against fossil fuels and nuclear energy and pipelines. Maybe this was the wrong move. Maybe the threat of regimes like Russia, Iran, North Korea, China, Venezuela. Maybe relying on these regimes for energy, maybe that's bad. People like Elon Musk, they're saying, we should probably rethink it. We should probably rethink this a bit. But a lot of people, they're not saying, oh, well, maybe we should rethink things. Maybe we should start building nuclear power plants now, building pipelines now. I'll get to pipelines in a minute. So this is not a problem in the future, but most, like the Stephen Colbert's, they're telling you to make sacrifices. Huh? Where have we heard that sacrifice is a moral virtue? Huh? But yeah, today it's all about sacrificing for Ukraine, which I'm sympathetic to. I'm sympathetic to cutting off Russia. Putting pressure on Putin. But on top of that, I think we need to be building more pipelines, drilling, fracking more here in America, building more nuclear power plants. But tomorrow, they're telling you to sacrifice now so that tomorrow they can tell you to sacrifice more.
What an asshole!
And they're going to bring Greta No Funberg's goofy ass out in the United Nations again, which is a useless organization. Today they're telling you to pay $6 for a gallon of gasoline to save Ukraine. Tomorrow they're going to tell you to pay $9 for a gallon of gasoline to save the world, to reduce sea level rise to 10 inches by 2100 rather than 11.5 inches by 2100. Of course, when looking into this, Stephen Colbert, I don't know if you guys remember this, last year, all of the late night shows, Kimmel, Colbert, Seth Meyers, they all did this marathon where they were, having a circle jerk over their climate alarmism. And Stephen Colbert had this opinion of look, yeah, I'm a hypocrite, but in my defense, individual action is not enough. This is why we need collective government action to, essentially save us from ourselves. Which,
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Colt Savage says to bring back the Keystone XL pipeline. And I should probably be clear about something. It's not that, if Biden just made a few good decisions tomorrow, greenlighting more oil drilling and greenlighting the pipelines, that gas prices will magically go down by $1 a gallon. Shucks. It's more so the fact that the crusade against fossil fuels and nuclear energy, which we saw in Germany, we've been seeing in the U.S. In a variety of ways. I just want that checkpoint. Oh, I thought it would make me big. Wow, that's not a good place to start over. The crusade against pipelines. I was reading into this because I've been, I tried to do a deep dive into this yesterday. It's hard to find a lot of information on it. All right. I keep hearing this talking point about how there's 9,000 unused gas leases on federal lands currently. This is something that Biden and Jen Psaki have been saying to deflect responsibility, to say, look, it's not our fault. Look at all these gas leases. It's those greedy oil companies. They're not drilling enough. So what? Yesterday they were saying, they want it both ways. They want to demonize oil companies for producing too much oil, contributing too much to climate change. And now they demonize oil companies for not drilling for enough oil, for not producing enough oil. There's that whole aspect of it. And I was trying to look into this, and I found a variety of sources that were saying different things about the whole gas leases thing. I found one article on Bloomberg Law from last September. That stuff is always useful, isn't it? When you find sources that kind of confirm your suspicion about something that comes out before it became a big debate. Oh, that's all I need. Just need one Yoshi. This one article on Bloomberg, it confirmed. I'm not sure if it's enough sufficient evidence, but it confirmed one of my suspicions, and that is, a lot of these gas leases they might be unusable, in that you have you can drill there, but there's nothing to be drilled for. Just because the government gave you a lease over to drill on some land doesn't mean that there's going to be oil there to drill. Or it's not economically feasible to drill there. And another suspicion I have with that is that maybe it might be more economical to drill and frack in a lot of these areas if it were more economical to transport the oil. And a very economic way to transport oil is by pipelines.
You're goddamn right.
And it wasn't just Keystone XL. I mean, are we already forgetting? Oh, thank you, Net7, for subscribing. Thank you. Is everyone forgetting the Dakota Access Pipeline? I think it eventually got built. I know it got greenlit by Trump, and then that whole thing was over with. Didn't they pause new oil and gas leases? Yes, they did. The Biden administration did. That's another thing. Like, when reading about this, I read another article that said that even though a company has a gas lease, that doesn't mean that they've been approved for drilling yet. They might have to jump through a variety of other environmental regulations and find environmental impact reports before they're allowed to drill. They might have a lease to drill on that land, like an exclusive right to drill on that land. But they still need to get other approvals from other regulatory agencies. And they cited a document from the Bureau of Land Management. And I went to the Bureau of Land Management's website, and even they have an article about how Biden suspended permits. But a lot of those permits, this is another thing I read, a lot of those permits were acquired between 2015 and 2019. A lot of businesses just decided to stock up on permits because they didn't know how long they would have a favorable government that was favorable toward fossil fuel energy, because now we don't. But then, just researching it, looking into all these resources on Bureau of Land Management, and I'm just thinking, this totally reinforces everything I've been saying recently about federal lands. The Bureau of Land Management currently manages 250 million acres of land, and a consequence of this is the fact that because they control this land, they also control a variety of natural resources. And so if companies want to drill, frack, mine, they have to get permission. And if some bad politicians are in office that are hostile to fossil fuels, they might make it more difficult for them to drill in the first place. Everyone's like, oh man, Teddy Roosevelt, wasn't he such a great president? Why do you hate Teddy Roosevelt so much? What about his conservation efforts? Well, his conservation efforts arguably led to us having this predicament in the first place. This level's going to give me motion sickness. Jesus. But then revisiting, I don't know if you guys saw me on Twitter talk about this. Whoops. Revisiting Rockefeller. You guys remember J.D. Rockefeller? You may have heard of him in your little history textbooks about how awful Standard Oil was. How he had this big scary monopoly, and it was the heroic Teddy Roosevelt that we've put on fucking Mount Rushmore. What a mistake that was. Teddy Roosevelt. Him and his trust busting. I mean, Robespierre Reich loves Teddy Roosevelt for this. He came in and he led a crusade against Standard Oil. J.D. Rockefeller ensured that they were broken up. Why? What did J.D. Rockefeller do? J.D. Rockefeller, for those who don't know, he lowered oil prices by 86% a gallon. And on top of that, he outcompeted Russians in Europe. One of his main competitors, because for those who don't know, roughly half of Standard Oil's business back then was overseas markets. And he was getting undercut overseas by Russia because Russia's oil was more concentrated and it was much better than the oil that we had in the United States. Burton Folsom's book, Myth of the Robber Barons, talks about how J.D. Rockefeller, he found oil resources in Ohio, but it was really stinky oil that no one wanted to use. Everyone thought it was hopeless to try and refine it, but him and his scientists spent millions of dollars trying to refine it, and they did. And for 30 years, J.D. Rockefeller did all he could to maintain competition with the Russian oil companies over in Europe. He also had to face intense tariffs, especially in Austria-Hungary. And he managed to do it. And as a result, consumers and businesses in America enjoyed the superior product of Standard Oil at home. Couldn't we use a guy that might lower oil prices by, I don't know, 86% and outcompete Russia in Europe? Sounds like we could use a J.D. Rockefeller right now, but unfortunately, most people celebrate the destruction of J.D. Rockefeller while celebrating his heroes or his destroyers like Teddy Roosevelt. Coke Wilcox is bought by the billionaires here. Well, I wish that were the case. Cordo Bitcoin says, I want to thank you for asking Yaron Brook why Ayn Rand banned Kid Rock, one of the great moments in human history. I enjoyed that moment. That was probably my first time hearing about Ayn Rand because I grew up in the Metro Detroit area. And, for those who don't know, Kid Rock is also from Detroit. And when he blew up on the scene in 1998, 1999, I mean, he was the bee's knees. A lot of people had this attitude of like, oh, he's from Detroit and he's popular, he's famous, and he's making cool rap rock music. What is this, a maze? And one of those people that listen to a lot of Kid Rock one of those people was me, and I had his album Devil Without a Cause. That was his breakout album. And in one of those songs, Where You At, Rock? Kid Rock has a lyric where he says, Ayn Rand couldn't stand me, so she banned me. And you know what? 13-year-old me, that was probably the first time I ever heard of Ayn Rand. And I had no clue who she was. Radical, the Coke checks are bigger than the Soros checks. Can you blame him? Yeah, if Charles Koch wants to fund my antics, I will gladly take his money. I should probably go back on the chat. I missed a lot. Radical Liberty says Ukraine accepting all foreign men. Oh, that's probably pertaining to my stance that, yeah, if you want to volunteer and go fight for Ukraine, I'm sure they'll take you. I'm reading all these stories about how Ukrainian men who live abroad are going back to enlist in the military. Kirk, are successful people a threat to authoritarian? I mean, they're a threat to their power, yeah. In a sense, I mean, they can also be enablers of power. Building more nuclear power plants and fracking and drilling. Yeah, so you got to wonder if these gas leases that they're trying to blame the oil prices on, they might be a little more useful if we had a few more pipelines. Would just the Keystone XL pipeline be enough? Probably not, but it's the overall crusade against pipelines and fossil fuels in general that have put us in this predicament in the first place. That's another thing that they keep trying to say is like, oh, well, only if we invested a little more in solar and wind, that should be our goal, because then we'll be less reliant on, oh, I needed more coins. See, this is a level where you got to make as much money as possible. You got to be greedy. Here we go. All 7. I need that 1 coin down there. See, I imagine how many people, they miss this one, and they get to the end, they start ripping their hair out. It's all about the money in this level. You ever notice how on the cranes, like, if they don't catch you, they just have like a closed mouth, but then if you're in the crane, the face, it kind of looks stressed out, like, ugh, get this Italian plumber out of my claws. And it's like, going back to what I was saying about solar panels and wind. I saw what's his name? Oh God, not Brian Tyler Cohen. Is that his name? I keep forgetting his name. The really annoying cheerleader for jibber jabbering Joe Biden. He's like, oh, I can't take these Republicans seriously when they don't want to invest in solar and wind that would end our dependence on oil. And I would ask, is it too much to ask for both? But you know this is a bullshit talking point, because California, I mean, the federal government and the state governments have been investing in solar and wind, quote-unquote, renewable energy, which we need to start calling unreliable energy, to borrow an idea from Alex Epstein. We've been investing tens, probably hundreds of billions of dollars at this point in wind, solar, electric vehicles. It's been over a decade. States like California have a higher percentage of this shit than ever. Yet somehow California also seems to be leading the way in gasoline prices. And I missed 1 coin.
Oh, you absolutely suck!
I'm just going to call that a failure. California, our grid is unreliable. We pay a lot more than everyone else for gasoline. I thought it would be solved because we have so much wind and solar energy in California. Ask them how this strategy went for Germany. Exactly. I forgot to bring Germany into it. Because, again, it's not just the United States. It's not just Biden. You see this across Europe. And I think the point is not, oh, if we only had the Keystone XL pipeline. No, it's if only we did not pursue a fossil fuel, anti-nuclear agenda for the last decade. Got him. That's how you do it. I figured it out. Oh, here we go. Boom shakalaka. There we go. Pow! Alright, I got a save point. Can't complain there. I mean, I could, but, you know, I have a right to complain, but, you know, sometimes being a complaining pants makes you a bitch. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. And people say, oh, can't complain. It's like, well, you have the right to complain. You have the First Amendment right to complain. But I think the point is not whether or not you can complain. It's whether or not you're in the mood to complain, because you're in such a good mood. Man, I'm running out of time. Time is just a social construct. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Well, the good news is I have that save point. Uh-oh. Ugh. Oh my god, how am I sucking at this? Ah! Got it. Alright, don't go for the one-up. Just go for the win, folks. Just go for the win.
We beat him! We fucking beat him! He left. He fucking left and we beat him.
And Midwinter is here. Hello.
I just came to say hello.
Yeah, but Germany, back in 2014, I mean, I've covered this on recent videos. You guys have probably watched them. I like that level. Let's give it a thumbs up. Germany has been closing down their nuclear power plants. California has been waging a war against nuclear, crusade against nuclear, I should probably say. Shutting down fossil fuel-based power plants, trying to go green, building a bunch of windmills, solar panels, and saying, you know what? You know, we can just pretend like we're doing something to fight climate change, because we're shutting down our production. Of course, they don't shut down their consumption, because that would mean lowering the standard of living, which they probably still did. But yeah, that's been their MO, smoke and mirrors. Oh, we're phasing out our fossil fuel consumption. It's like, yeah, but if you're not phasing out consumption, are you really doing anything? Sounds like you're just trying to hide the football there, okay? And then they thought they can get away with this, like, oh, if we really need some energy, then we'll just import it from Russia. What's the worst that can happen? And now they're seeing what can happen. And if countries like Germany, US, if they did not have this approach to energy, if they were keeping their nuclear power plants open, building more nuclear power plants, building pipelines, drilling and fracking for more oil, not only would our standard of living be a lot higher, as my buddy Brian Bonar pointed out today on Twitter, it's like, if we had pursued an energy policy like this for the last decade, then shutting down Russia would not be a big deal. It'd be like, what? Oh, what? We're going to pay 20 cents rather than $2 more for a gas? Okay. It's a small price for freedom, but we ain't scared, because we're drilling and fracking all day here in America. You ever play Lego Star Wars? I have not. Infrared, I think, is seriously mentally. I'm not going to psychologize Infrared, other than he's kind of hilarious. Accidentally hilarious.
Dude, you're such a fucking idiot. What are you talking about? You want to be racist? I could be way more racist.
Also had really good health care. I mean, health care was better before Obamacare. Health insurance was better before Obamacare. Yeah, isn't it amazing? We keep giving Democrats more power over the banking system, more power over health insurance, health care, energy, education. Prices and costs seem to keep going up. Quality of product, quality of service keeps going down. And they always want a little more. They say, whoops, well, this isn't working out. What we need is more power. And I would say what you need is to get bent. They always need a little more. Good night. Anyway, I've been on for about 54 minutes. I'll probably only be on until 4 p.m. Pacific time today. All right, cutting it close there. See, I probably just blew my chance at a firepower, but wanted to be a little risky with that move. They always need a little more. Something else I've been doing, I've been retweeting tweets from goofy-ass Gavin Newsom from like 2019, 2020, 2021 of him bragging about phasing out fossil fuel production, fracking in California. Yeah, how's that working out? Always need a little more. But again, point I want to stress today. We're seeing Stephen Colbert. He's no slouch, is he? He's saying, like, he's essentially saying, yeah, I'm all for, we should be making sacrifices for Ukrainian freedom. And I'm sympathetic to that, but you need to pay attention because we know today it's about Ukraine. They're using somewhat of a legitimate issue to ban what a sucker. To ban Russian imports of crude oil. But tomorrow they're going to say, oh, well, you were on board with saving Ukraine. Why aren't you on board with saving the planet, huh? Paying $9, $10, $12 for a gallon of gasoline. Isn't that worth saving the world over?